And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. Last I looked, it is the 9th of May. It's Friday. It's 2025. As always, a ton to cover, especially in this noisy atmosphere that we are in. And I thought we were going to have a little bit of a respite today, but no, minds are changing going into the weekend. We'll cover that in a minute. But first, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We will do markets, the economy, your job, your industry, taxes. And as you know, I've been saying taxes instead of tariffs on this show, and then I'd get a bunch of emails. What do you mean by taxes? So we'll go back to using the word tariffs, and then we'll say slash taxes, because that's exactly what tariffs are. And in case you don't know, they're about as meaningful can be. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And if you'd like to email me, all you got to do is be nice. And as we stated, I have the techies showing up this weekend. We're going to put up my own little YouTube. I'm doing these weird things that I would never think I would do. Maybe I'm even going to do an Instagram one day. And we're going to basically do the show and have it up there, and you'll see me, and we'll post charts as we're talking about it and all kinds of crap. Don't know how exactly it's going to lay out, but we're on the move. Okay, so first off, quieter day in the market. We love quiet. Why does Gary love quiet? Because quiet sets things up better for us. Quiet trading, quiet charts sets things up better, easier to read for us. It's not been very quiet for the last 6-7 weeks. As you know, it's been somewhat of a pain in the rear. Now, quiet is pretty good right here because we have rallied up into what we call the meat of resistance. You can draw a line and there's a big, gigantic umbrella overhead. On top of that, we're either a little bit under or a little bit above the crash. Just remember that big 2-day crash on the dates of the 3rd and the 4th, which caused the administration to change their stance. They tell you it was other reasons, but that's bullcrap. They changed their stance because they crashed markets. They crashed the stock market, the bond market, and the dollar. So as we said to you on that Monday, it was leaked that they were going to do a pause on everything that they did that last Wednesday. But they didn't like the leak, so they said it was just a rumor. The market went up 2,000 points and down 2,000 points within an hour. Guess what? Wednesday they did the pause. They had no choice. My opinion, if they never did the pause, we'd be 5,000 Dow points lower right now, and all hell would be breaking loose in the economy. It was the worst economic decision we have seen in ages. So thankfully they did the pause. On top of that, they've given out exemptions, which has me going to read something to you in a little bit. Exemptions to Apple and other types of stuff, auto parts, whatever, from this, that, and the other thing, which leads us to the last couple of days. So supposedly they have this great trade deal with the United Kingdom. And as we said to you, we just like the fact there's a little bit of movement. It was definitively oversold. Yeah, they're going to buy some Boeing jets, British Airways, terrific. And they're going to open up on meat and ethanol, terrific. It's not going to move big needles, but the hope is what it's going to do is it's going to gain some momentum for other countries to do the same. So we'll hand it to them that they actually got to this point, but I can promise you no deals were signed. Nothing is done. It's going to go back and forth for a while, which leads me to China. In case you don't know, the Treasury Secretary and his trading staff is meeting with some trade people from China this weekend. And interesting enough, the president yesterday, by the way, there's a 145% tariff on things coming from China. Of course, with the exemptions, of course. The president yesterday said, well, we think we can take it down to 80, but that'll be Scott's choice, which is the Treasury Secretary. Now, 80 is terrible. It's too big of a number, but at least it's going the right way. Guess what they said today? And I'm not making this up. And it really is unnerving. They came out and said the president was just floating a number, that it's not happening. Think about that. All the businesses trying to figure out life in general with 145% taxes on them here in the U.S. And you hear the president say 80 and then never mind the next day. It's insanity. It's like watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And where it lands, I don't know. And you know what I'm afraid of? The markets rallied. Got back the crash. I'm worried he sees the market going up and thinking, oh, I think we're out of the woods, so screw it, tariffs. I don't think he's read the room that the market crashed on that Wednesday Rose Garden ceremony and then came back after he got rid of them. So I don't know what the hell is going on. It's not even a matter of me or giving benefit of the doubt. I just want to end this. I'd like to get to the point where we're not talking about it anymore, where we're not saying the words trade deals or tariffs, and we're on our way. But it is, I have my little feed here running on tariffs, and boom, it showed up today. Changes my, he was just throwing the number out, kind of just putting it out. I don't even know what to say. It's disheartening for me. I'm rooting this man on for this country, and it's just so disheartening. And he went again today and said that others are paying for the tariffs. And it's just, and you need to know that's such bull crap. And I would love to visit with this man, but there's got to be other people telling him that's not true. Stop saying it. But he keeps saying it. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what his goal is at this point in time, because he keeps saying, oh, we're taking in all this money because of tariffs and they're so good, while they're talking about cutting them down. So I just don't know. I just don't know. I feel like we're in a bounce house. You know those little bounce houses? And again, I'm rooting for him. We've applauded him on so many things, but this is, and let's just hope the markets continue to perform and don't wake up to the insanity that's going on right now. And it really is. And nobody can argue it. No one. And I'm getting emails from businesses that can't do business. And then we get to the exemptions. You know who Ken Griffin is? He's just a multi-billionaire hedge fund guy, and I'm just letting you know that he stated that it's the highest form of crony capitalism to have one man to give an exemption to this company but not that company, this industry but not this industry. Just remember, one man, the president, is deciding on taxing industry or companies up to 145%, which leaves them dead. Companies cannot stay in business at 145% tariff. Companies that bring in all their stuff from China. And I heard, by the way, 97% of all strollers come from China. So I just want to start with this. And believe me when I say, I didn't want to start with this. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But it is a necessary evil. And the MAGA people won't say a bad word. The pundits won't say a bad word. I wish I had his ear, but I don't think that would help either. I can remedy this in 30 seconds. Up next, the markets today, review of the week. What else? I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. And, I'd love to apologize for spending a whole segment on this, but it is driving the markets, and I can promise you it is going to drive the economy if this continues. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. We'll keep you up to date. The good news is the markets, the Dow was down 120 today. The S&P only down 4. NASDAQ was basically flat. Transports were down 90. Advanced declines were a little better on the New York, a little negative on the NASDAQ. Whoop-de-doo. New yearly highs, a little pickup, but still not a lot of leadership out there. But we have certain mantras and mottos of markets, and they can't sell it off right now. Just letting you know. This week, we kind of sort of marked time. We pulled back into Wednesday. On Wednesday, we said it's somewhat of a bullish wedge, and we gapped up yesterday. Finished not that great. Fell a little bit more today. Whoopie-doo. Let me make a big, gigantic statement. As I am looking, the NASDAQ is trading above the 50-day moving average the last week. As I am looking, the NASDAQ 100 is trading above the 50-day moving average. As I am looking, the Dow is trading a little bit above the 50-day moving average. And the S&P 500 is trading above the 50-day moving average. And the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index above the 50, and that's where I applaud the president. Joe, the worst president ever, Biden, who embarrassed himself again this week, did all kinds of semiconductor restrictions, and little did I know that there were different tiers for different this and that. Well, looks like this administration is going to be removing them, and that juiced the semiconductor stocks that are so important. So there we applaud the man for that. Yay! By the way, speaking of Joe Biden, what a clown. How did we get past this 4 years as a great? It just tells you how great a people we are. They had him on this View, which I've told you I've never watched, but I get little videos. He couldn't even answer a question. His wife had to interject. Oh, God. Who the hell is making the decision to continue to put this guy on TV? What can I tell you? Back on point. As long as the price of these areas stay above the 50-day moving average, it's not about we good. It's just nothing bad can happen if price stays above the 50-day. Doesn't mean we're going to soar. Doesn't mean we're off to the races because we have massive amount of overhead above here. But you need to know, and this is important, as long as price stays above that 50-day, nothing bad can happen. It's a physical impossibility until price breaks back below the 50-day. So you're just above it, 1 to 2%, so a couple of bad days would not be good news. But just letting you know where it stands right now, and I have to add one other thing. There's the usual blow-ups come earnings season, and we had 28 pages of earnings in the last 2 weeks. But there's a lot of good reaction to earnings. A lot. And all those names go on the front of my screen, and we're always looking for continuation. Meta gapped up, not continuing right now, tried to. Microsoft gapped up, looked like it was going to continue up, and then it tucked in like a frightened turtle. But both still look okay, and we'll see what happens from here. And then you have all the Lyft gapped up today. That's the Uber, Lyft. For example, Trade Desk gapped up today. Microchip gapped up today, though earnings were down 87% and revenues down 27%. That's just a matter of a semiconductor that has crashed in the last year, that the market's better right now for it, but that's not good numbers, may I state for the record. Symbol Dave gapped up and moved yesterday and was up another 9% today. Doesn't trade a lot, but I'm just reporting to you. And we'll keep watch. And we'll have another earnings week next week, but it starts to come down. The good news is we have another 6 weeks before we have to deal with Mr. Powell, who, by the way, as I said, I'm happy he's not doing anything. I like when they don't do anything. As you know, we think they shouldn't even be in business. Nobody's been able to answer the question, so what do they do for us? Not one person has been able to answer the question, what does the central bank do for us? You know, they've lost about $300 billion on their bond holdings. You know that, right? That they bought out of thin air, with money out of thin air. Anyway, they're a fact of life, though. But the bigger story right now, an exhausting president with his tariffs. And let's just hope the market does not wake up again to his tariffs going forward. Just letting you know. We'll stay on top of things. But I don't have much to complain. Weak areas remain relatively weak, like retail and transports and home builders. We warned you forever on the big biotech and the drug stocks, but they've just worsened in the last couple of weeks. Man, oh man, stay away. Stay away from anything medicine-like. And that has to do with government and payments going forward. And you can throw in a lot of the managed care. United Health stock has crashed. Hospitals not as bad, but they ain't going anywhere either. Just a very tough road, and I would just stay away from a lot of government entities. You know what else is in dire straits right now? Defense stocks. Even though I believe they threw another $100 billion at the Pentagon per year. That's another one. In the year 2000, we spent about $250 billion a year on defense, maybe 300. It's now $1 trillion. Really? We need $1 trillion? Really? Up next, week in review. Even though I think I just did it. This, that, and the other thing. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. That is Sunday. So all you sons and daughters, get on it. Tomorrow morning, if you turn on Fox News in the 10 to 11 o'clock hour, I will be on Fox News tomorrow talking about tariffs and the central bank. I'll be my usual charming self, unbiased, no agenda, no ulterior motive. And I must tell you, I was on 2 weeks ago talking tariffs on the Saturday morning, and I'm very As I do with the president here, I can completely disagree with him, but we do it with respect. I did that 2 weeks ago, and I believe they have like 1.5 million people watch on Saturday morning, somewhere in there. It's over 1 million. And I'm thinking I am going to get emails ripping the stuffings out of me because 2 weeks ago I basically said that I disagree with these. I'm not a tariff person. It's a tax on, I did my usual, what I do here. I didn't get one nasty email. That was really surprising and happy about it. Which means I'm saying things the right way. And maybe people understand that what I say is the truth. And as I mentioned earlier, Ken Griffin, big hedge fund guy, I agree with him big time. Big time. Big time. We should not have one man deciding on what company or what industry is going to pay taxes. We shouldn't have that. It's getting out of hand. And when Ken Griffin talks about crony capitalism, he said it's the biggest error ever. That's saying a lot. We'll keep you informed, good or bad. And of course, we'll do the markets. What we'll be doing this weekend in our scans is we're going to go over I think about 100 names that had the reaction to earnings. By the way, there were blow-ups too. And by the way, there were things that gapped up and just failed today. And then there were things that gapped down and rallied up, like Palantir, which was down a couple of bucks today. May need some time. On the week, NASDAQ. Do you know I didn't realize this? I got to make sure I say this right. On the week, the NASDAQ was actually down this week. It was down 0.25%. Didn't think that. On the week, the NASDAQ 100 down about 0.25%. On the week, the S&P 500 down about 0.5%. On the week, the Dow down about a whopping 68 points. On the week, the transports were down about 0.25%. And I'm interested in seeing the SOX. Yeah, the semiconductor index was up 1.6%. Now, something else I want to bring up, and I think I've been remiss on this for all of you. Symbol ARGT, Argentina. Looks like it's going to have another 6-month breakout here soon. And you can read about the guy running the joint there, Malay, who's like Reagan. Argentina. Believe it or not, let me continue. Poland, symbol EPOL. New high ground at the close today. Germany, EWG, right at new highs. How about Italy? EWI, at new highs. How about Spain? Just about at highs. How about the UK? Almost at highs. And then there's the EUFN, which is the Europe Financials Index, and we've been telling you about Barclays and some of these others, right near new highs. So Europe is kicking our butt right now. And just so you know, it wasn't like that for a long while. And let me give you an example. The EUFN in 2014 was 2665. In 11 years, it's up a total of 17% in 11 years. That's the Europe. That's what is known as, I think they're playing some catch up here. Whether or not that continues, I don't know. You ready for this one? The EWG is Germany. It was 36.71 in 07. It's 40.77 now. What is that, about 10%? A little bit above 10? In 18 years. So I can forgive myself for even thinking about Europe when it's been so bleak for so long. I'm interested in you ready for this? The United Kingdom ETF was $54.76 in 07. It's 38 today. So that's still way down from 07. So just letting you know, Europe is finally getting its mojo back, at least in the near term. My biggest problem with Europe is you got a bunch of Marxist socialists running the joints, and they're very weird. But right now, I think I've been remiss in not covering this more. Then again, they crashed them into the crash along with us. And you want to know what a crash is? Let's see. The UK went from 38 down to 32 in like 3 days. That's a good crash. Got it all back though. So we'll consider that on our radar here. And we've been hearing Germany recession, but maybe now it's starting to get a little better. I don't know. Beats the heck out of me. We're just letting you know, price, fine. Gold, good day today. Holding the 21-day moving average now a couple of times in the last week. The gold miners had a very good day today versus the gold. Gold miners, GDX, or the GDXJ, which is the juniors. So there's a lot of jello moving on the plate. Oils are still weak, wouldn't go near them. I mentioned the transports, though they've rallied up, they're just still overall. I always think about, if the market gags tomorrow, what definitely do I not want to be in? Well, it's the weakest areas. The weakest areas. And that's the home builders, transports, rails, truckers, the FedEx, UPS, retail, though retail's rallied up. We mentioned the drugs and the biotech and medicals, a lot of the medicals. So not everything is all happiness in the markets. But got the crash back. And we'll go into next week. Who the hell knows what happens coming out of the weekend with China? No matter what, they'll spin it good. I think the chalk is that the tariff will be lowered to what I don't know. And whether that's in the market already, don't know that either. But again, I sure hope to get past it. My channel checks as of late, that'll be up next. As you know, we channel check. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. You know, hey yo, I do call myself Mr. Logic here because I'm very logical. I really am. And I've asked myself a question that the answers to it is the main reason why Donald Trump is the president now. It's really how bad the doofuses are. I don't know if you've heard this, but a little while back today, that the Newark mayor, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, stormed an ICE facility along with other people. That is a federal offense, and he was arrested. He was arrested for it. I don't know what's going to come of it. They arrested a couple of judges that were housing, some call them undocumented, others say they're illegal immigrants. But the Mr. Logic in me poses two questions to each and every one of you. And maybe the questions/statements. How is it possible that this Newark mayor, amongst others, never complained? Listen carefully. How is it that he didn't go to the White House to complain to Joe Biden? What the hell are you doing? You are letting in all these people and they're illegal. And let's be clear, we're talking the law. They're illegal. And Joe Biden it was easy for them to let them in. It was easy. They just kept coming and they kept letting. And we find out in this video, Joe Biden had these people put on planes in the middle of the night into all these other cities, including Newark. Newark had to house these migrants coming in, and the taxpayer had to pay for them. How is it that was so easy to do? And then the next part of Mr. Logic's statement question. How is it so hard to send them back, which is legal? Now, I keep hearing the thing about due process. Shouldn't due process have been done coming in more than going out? How Mr. Logic am I? Due process is supposed to go both ways. In order to come in, you have to go through a due process. You know, not through the river, not hiding behind in a truck. Think about that logic. It's ass backwards. And it's on Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, and these sanctuary cities that didn't give a crap. And now you get the Newark mayor and others storming an ICE facility, when the thing they should have been doing is storming into the White House. Yo, Joe, what the hell's going on here? Mr. Logic, again, think about that. And that's how you get Donald Trump back in the presidency. Because what a gargantuan failure they were. By the way, multiple Democratic members of Congress, along with the Democratic mayor of Newark, have been arrested for criminal trespassing at the ICE Center in Newark, New Jersey. The arrests were carried out by the Department of Homeland Security. These people are morons. Sitting Congress people. They did nothing about them coming in illegally. And now look what they're doing. It's insanity. No wonder the Republicans have the House and Senate, and they suck too. They just suck less. Anyway, that's a little bit of the news of the day that just came up over the last hour. And what the hell does that have to do with you and your money and your markets and all that? Everything. In the House, they almost have the House, the Democrats. You know that, right? It's by a little sliver that they don't have the House. And there's a midterm next November. Imagine these people getting the power. They're storming an ice facility. I rest my logical case. You can read up about it. Also in the news, the president, I do believe, will be in the Middle East this weekend. And hopefully good things come of that. The corrupt media was reporting all kinds of BS that he's not getting along with Israel, and then they came out and said, up yours, not true. The corrupt media also is going after Fetterman. How dare Fetterman not agree with the Democrat Party and their illogical moves? So now they're after Fetterman. Think about it. And by the way, they're all reporting the same thing. They all get together on a squawk box and saying, let's go get Fetterman. Now all of a sudden he's a mental case again. Before, no, leave him alone. Now he's a mental case and should not be in politics. That's your media for you. That's what we have to deal with. And that's how Trump became president. And that's the news of the day as we head into the weekend. Back on point as long as price stays above the 50-day. A break below, you'll be hearing from me. That said, above, massive overhead resistance, may take some time, and I got news for you. I wouldn't mind a lot more quiet days as we move forward. Hey, that all said, you have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. Make sure you hug your mom. Have a great one, everybody. Stay well, be well. Serenity now. Good night.